Welcome to Never Too Serious with Scott and Dave. I'm Scott.
And I'm Dave.
Dave, I'm excited about talking to Hunter Biden.
Yeah, I like to talk about anybody that can make me look better. And this topic will always make me look like a better person quite easily.
It's funny. I don't think we have, as crazy as our childhood has been, I don't think we have anything crazy as Hunter Biden's videos.
No. Well, we don't have a lot of crackhead friends either. So
That's true.
Crack is now just it's a household theme now, I guess, for most people, unfortunately.
In the Biden household.
Oh, in the Biden household,
Yeah.
for sure. They have the best crack, too, I bet. Not that street crap.
Yeah, producer Ethan is here today, and he brought a really funny clip that we'll play later about Hunter Biden smoking stuff. Because it's hilarious.
I tell you, he's committed.
Yeah. So the Hunter Biden story has been in the news for a while, and it's been kind of silenced, I think, for a while as well.
Right. It like breaks the surface once in a bit.
Mm-hmm.
People will go, hey, man, the Hunter Biden's story, the laptop issue, we got to like bring it up. And so people bring it up every once in a while, but you shove it back down underneath.
Mm-hmm.
And from the sounds of it, it should be shoved down underneath. It sounds pretty horrible.
It is. Well, so there is an investigation, from what I understand, there is currently an investigation into turns out Hunter had 3 laptops, but there's one in particular that's under more scrutiny with the FBI. But what's interesting is how long this thing has been going on, and we still really haven't had a whole lot come out from the investigation.
Well, it's probably because the FBI is doing it. They haven't been doing the best work that they can do this last few years.
Well,
so it seems.
And they've kind of proven to be sort of a partisan branch of the government.
I was trying to be nice so they don't like come knock on my door, buddy, old pals.
Mm-hmm.
But no, seriously, they're working for people too, and I feel that they're this story is going to get out and it's going to harm the president. We can't have that. So I don't feel like there's going to be a really good investigation until somebody else just says, "I'm just going to drop it all," and then you guys pick up the mess.
I think it's going to be a political thing in Congress. I think once the power shifts back to Republican controlled, I'm guessing that this story is going to continue.
You're pretty confident that's going to happen?
Well, if Biden's still in office, I think so.
I would hope that even all the crazies would be sitting there going, "What the hell? We don't need this.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want this." Oh my gosh!
Well,
no, I'm optimistic too, but
I thought that Hillary Clinton's email scandal I thought she was gonna be prosecuted for the things that she did and she hid, but once the Clintons were kind of out of the picture, all of that kind of faded away.
Sure, nobody talks about Benghazi anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a huge deal, and how she decided to, erase things,
mm-hmm.
destroy evidence.
Thousands and thousands of emails that
minimum of 30,000, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and where's the authorities?
And I'm afraid that that's what's going to happen with this.
I think that because of how everything's much more transparent with social media and stuff. Like it gets out there, then it's hard to ever get rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like we are actually actively watching them get rid of it.
Yeah,
we're watching it happen, and they're not good at it.
Well, I brought in some clips today from the media and some quotes because they're especially for the left-leaning media, they've been suppressing a lot of this.
So let me ask you, why do you think they're allowing some of the interviews and some of the things to come out and suppress other things? I mean, I could guess, but doesn't it seem like that's what they're doing?
Well, some of these news stations are giving Hunter Biden a platform to tell a story.
Why would that be a good thing?
I think, I don't remember what politician said this, but the recommendation is, head it off by adding a whole bunch of stuff that delegitimizes some of the more controversial stuff.
Yeah.
Hunter comes out and talks about his drug addiction, and he admits to having done some things, with prostitutes, and
we've all been there.
But he's talking about his life in a way that makes him look like he's kind of a victim of addiction.
It's like it's a setup. So when all this terrible, like that's not bad.
Yeah.
All the really bad stuff comes out. He goes, yeah, but I was on crack. I told you I was on crack. You know, crackheads do crazy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so there's got to be a reason why they don't just keep suppressing it all, but they allow maybe a way to divert things.
And the way that he's describing his life as he's trying to get things back on track.
Oh.
You know, he's a survivor.
And an artist.
And he's, back to work, and he's just wanting to work on, making the next day, better than the previous. I mean, to me, there's this story of him being a survivor. And to me, it's clouding, I think, the real story, which is the corruption.
The corruption, and that he's a despicable, unethical human being. And, I'm waiting for him to go on Oprah, because that's where he's going to get all of his sympathy.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's already been on so many other shows. It's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
I want to talk about a little bit about this laptop.
Yeah. What you got?
So
I heard it's juicy.
It is juicy. There's this journalist. She's from the New York Post. Her name is Miranda Devine, and she wrote a book called "The Laptop from Hell."
Oh, okay.
Does this ring a bell?
I've heard them talk about or refer to the laptop as that.
Mm-hmm.
And how would she know?
So she was given basically a copy of the hard drive from one of the laptops.
Oh, right. So that's how she'd know.
And yeah, but how she got it is a little weird, because if you think about, Rudy Giuliani has some fans and some not so fans out there.
Yeah.
He's kind of looked at as kind of I don't know, someone who's going to be bringing in some conspiracies, and
yes, even some of his fans want to smack him around once in a while.
Yeah,
so I understand that.
So it was his attorney that actually delivered this content to Miranda Devine.
Oh, okay, all right.
So that's how she got it, through Rudy Giuliani's attorney, and so right there's potentially some red flags. Fact of the matter is it's legit, it's real. And the New York Post started publishing articles covering some of the content that was on this hard drive.
Mm-hmm.
And immediately, I don't know if you can remember back then, but not
the
if
hell
you have
you
a memory
saying?
problem.
I'm not that old.
but Facebook and Twitter banned, just before the election, these articles.
Sure.
You remember that?
Sure, yeah.
And the timing, of course, was interesting, because it was an election, and Trump and Biden were going at it, and this could have been a pretty big nail in the coffin of Biden, but it wasn't. No. It was suppressed. It was It was discredited as Russian disinformation.
Yeah, as everything that might count against anybody that runs for president.
Mm-hmm. Ethan, we're gonna play a little clip here. This is from. So Miranda Devine did this presentation, and this is a clip from that presentation
about her book she wrote.
About a little bit about why the book is important. Oh. And there's two parts to it.
But the laptop itself is important for two reasons. Not for the homemade porn or the crack smoking exploits of the man that the president says is the smartest man he knows. It is important, of course, because of the evidence that it contains that Joe Biden was up to his neck in his family's peddling influence overseas, with China's President Xi Jinping, with Vladimir Putin, and various of the sort of oligarchs and princelings in their inner sanctum at the time that he was vice president. And it shows that Joe Biden brazenly and repeatedly lied about his knowledge and involvement in this scheme. But the laptop is also important because of what I am talking about today, and that is the might and reach of a censorship regime that unsheathed its claws and showed its face the day that the New York Post published the first of a series of stories from the laptop, which was damaging to one of the two presidential candidates less than 3 weeks before the election.
All of that's unbelievable.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the one from from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next is unbelievable.
The media part is what gets me the most.
Yeah.
Because I do remember this was a big story, and it didn't come out as a big story.
And they say that you can't fix and or rig an election. This is how you do it. It doesn't have to be a voting machine.
Mm-hmm.
This is more effective.
Well, yeah, and then they took out Trump's Twitter account.
That's right.
Facebook continued to, excuse me, Facebook continued to basically censor content that was damaging to Biden.
And at the same time, they were putting lies on actually President Trump at the time about his Russian ties that he never had.
There's a show, a late night show called Gutfeld. Familiar with him, Greg?
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Gutfeld. Yeah, he played a little montage. I grabbed some little pieces from that, so I credit him with his researchers doing the work.
Yeah,
but he brought out some of these news media organizations that he basically just said, they were trying to bury this story. They were trying to make it out to be something that it didn't end up being.
And like usual, a few months, a couple years later, the truth comes out, and everybody's like, yeah, about that. Shut it down.
Yeah.
Shut it down. Fire this person or that person.
Well, we know that the laptop is real.
Yep.
We'll go through some stuff in a little bit about the laptop.
Try to discredit that for a while too.
But here are some quotes from CNN. This is from Brian Stelter.
Oh,
I know. He says one of the headlines is how the newest anti-Biden narrative was manufactured.
well, how it was manufactured.
How it was manufactured. Yeah. He another one. U.S. authorities investigating if recently published emails are tied to Russian disinformation effort targeting Biden. I mean, this is the kind of stuff. These are the headlines. They don't actually. They're just trying to seed in some doubt.
Well, I don't know if you ever read it and I'm not talking about those ones because I haven't read those ones, but I've read headlines such as those, and you go through and it says nothing at all what the headlines is because people read the headlines and they move on. They don't sit there and read the detail. Well, if this was to happen and this was to happen, then that could maybe happen. So it's always, headlines are not, they're just.
Well, and here's another one from a politician who I have really negative opinions about because of the dishonesty from him. Ethan Cut 8. Adam Schiff.
Oh, gosh. Pencil neck. That's what Trump called him. And
this whole smear on Joe Biden comes from the Kremlin.
Yeah, so he's talking to Wolf Blitzer, and he says the whole thing is coming from Russia.
Yeah, sure it is.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's ridiculous. He was the one who was really leading the impeachment over Russia. Of his involvement of Russia's involvement in the election. NPR on Twitter, they said, "Why haven't you seen any stories from the NPR about the New York Post's Hunter Biden story?" Their response: "We don't want to waste our time on stories that are not really stories, and we don't want to waste the listeners and the readers' time on stories that are just pure distractions." That's from NPR.
right.
I mean,
it's not a real story. Somebody wrote a book. You know, that's a story.
Yeah, another one. This is not censorship. Facebook is in no obligation to allow a disputed report that appears to contain disinformation to spread on their platform.
It's still censorship. It's them censoring it.
And
it's like if I say you come into my house, you can't say this word, that word, or this word, I'm censoring you guys. So it is censorship.
Well, and then the fact checkers. If they actually did some research, they'd realize that this thing is actually true. And then, of course, my favorite, Joy Reid. Oh, she drives me crazy. I guess rumor has it she's losing her show. Anyway, she says on Twitter, she says, "Good for Joe Biden. No need to dignify a Russian hatchet job strain through Rudy Giuliani's utter brokenness with a response. We're not doing emails again in America. Just vote and ignore the nonsense."
Wow. And she has the audacity to use the word hatchet job. And if you ever watched her show,
oh, it's hard. I can't hardly watch.
This is getting a little bit rough. I'm having to talk and listen to these people. I really don't have an issue. Are you have an issue with?
It's just really tough because this was such a critical time in an election,
right?
And the Democrats really succeeded in silencing something that most voters at the time didn't even know about.
Yep, that's
a lot of the independent voters had not even heard about this and didn't, and the folks that didn't really think it was true.
right. They have them well cleaned and ready to be have information inputted.
Ethan, let's take a quick break. I want to come back and we're gonna talk a little bit about that laptop from hell. Sound good?
I don't know if it sounds good at all, but I'm into it. Let's do it.
Okay. Dave and I appreciate you listening to the show. Please take a moment and write a review on Apple Podcast or podchaser.com. And since Spotify doesn't currently have reviews, simply telling your friends about the show would be great too. Also, you can always reach out to us at our website, nevertooserious.com, or via our socials at the NTS Podcast. And seriously, from the bottom of our hearts, thanks again for listening to the show. All right, we are back. So I want to talk a little bit about that laptop from hell.
Ooh, let's do it.
There's a guy, his name is John Paul Mac Isaac, M-A-C Isaac. It's kind of a long name, huh?
Yeah, well.
He is the repair shop owner and the guy who received the laptop from hell.
Yeah, he got a lot of crap about it.
Yeah.
Because he was telling the truth, and everybody's like, no, he's not. Gave him crap about it.
Yeah.
Everybody jumps on board.
The poor guy at the end here, we'll play a clip, and he had to go kind of in hiding. Anyway, he's talking to Hannity actually, and he got kind of an exclusive interview with him, and you can tell in these clips to be played here, he's kind of nervous and doesn't want to talk about stuff a whole lot.
Well, he's heard about people getting, committing suicide with 2 shots in the back of their head before, so he doesn't want to be that guy.
Yeah, that's true. Ethan, why don't you play cut 1? He's talking about some red flags, in his mind. Go ahead.
You got to a point where you saw things on the laptop that were disturbing. What did you see?
I saw material of a very personal nature. I don't want to obviously go into it. I don't feel comfortable about talking about the personal stuff. I also saw files related to financing and other documents that just raised some red flags.
Yeah, that's a man that's scared.
Yeah,
and rightfully so.
He didn't really want to talk about the details.
And why? Nothing good is going to happen, to him from this. And
that's
it was
true, huh?
And it was. And he's just an innocent bystander. He is offered a service to the public, and Hunter went in there to have his computer serviced, and he's so, I don't know, full of crack that he just doesn't think it's a bad idea.
I was surprised to hear that this was one of 3 computers.
Right, sure. And how about at this point, just go get another computer? I mean, what are you? Why would you? How messed up in your head would you even think? Even just for the personal things. I mean, I could see this guy blowing off all of the important political stuff, but man, why would you just turn it in like that? I don't understand.
I don't know. He must have been cracked out at the time.
He had to have been.
This next clip, the repairman, he's talking about some of the illegal activities and his concerns, because Hannity's trying to press him and get a little bit more information.
More than that, yeah.
All right, Ethan, play cut number 2.
When I was comparing the data from the drive that I was copying to and from, I would open up a large video file, and then I saw some disturbing content of a very personal nature.
So, of a personal nature, let me ask you this. Would your initial gut reaction be one that would be, this is illegal what I'm saying? What I'm seeing, rather?
I didn't look at
it. In your non-lawyerly opinion, in other words, would an average person looking at those videos think this is totally illegal and needs to be reported?
Initially, the stuff that I saw from doing just the initial transfer, I would say the images in the video that I saw, I saw criminal activity, but I wouldn't go so far as to say it was criminal. I was more concerned about later on when the Ukraine was topical in the news during the summer of 2019, that's when I was getting more concerned because I was seeing a lot of names and a lot of numbers that, again, I felt somebody would someday come looking for this laptop and I needed to get it out of my shop.
Yeah,
no kidding.
Yeah, so, the criminal behavior that he was talking about, I think Hannity was trying to push him a little bit more about, were you
Details.
watching criminal behavior? I mean, like pedophilia or something,
Right.
trying to get to that point. But, turns out that what he was talking about was just him with a hooker, doing sexual stuff and
That we
smoking
know of at this point in time.
Yeah, and doing drugs on these videos. So it's criminal behavior, but it's not like kiddie porn or something.
Yeah.
It's a different type of criminal behavior that,
But it's criminal behavior, but it's not criminal.
Yeah, it's a very weird way of describing it.
Yeah.
But what gets me a little bit more is the end of it, where he talks about, I was more concerned about Ukraine and the names in this because I just want to get it out of my shop.
Yeah.
This is the kind of stuff where, people do commit suicide by 2 shots in the back of the head.
He's smart for wanting to get it out of there, and all he was doing is going to give a service to a crackhead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But when I was doing research for the show, this is the first time I saw this.
Yeah, I will say
I've never seen it before.
I don't know if I've seen it. I thought I heard him. I might have heard it before, maybe heard a small clip, but no, I've never seen it. I mean,
I don't watch much Hannity, but this should have been reported on in newspapers and like all over the place.
Right. Yeah. It's a big.
This is firsthand knowledge of the laptop.
He's in fear. I mean, he's answering. I'd probably answer it the same way. But then again, if I was that scared, I might just say everything just to like, I'm going to be out of here anyways. I want to say everything I know, but I don't know. I would hate to be in his position. I'll say that.
Yeah, me too. Ethan, cut number 3. He's talking about FBI coming and taking the equipment.
Let me go through the timeline with you, if I may, because you handed this over to the FBI. They finally took possession of it December 9th, 2019. Tell us what happened.
They came to the shop. Originally, they were planning to make a forensic copy of the drive. They couldn't guarantee that they could take the equipment away from me. So when they showed up and they handed me a subpoena requesting the drive, the paperwork, and the laptop, I was overjoyed that they were going to basically meet my demands, if you will. I wanted it out of my shop, and I wanted some kind of paper trail, some level of protection from the FBI. So I was pretty happy that they took it. A couple of things happened during that exchange. A couple of things were said that kind of, again, threw up some red flags with the FBI, just how they wanted me to handle it if he should come looking for it, how to contact them, how to stall whoever's looking for it so they could make arrangements to have the equipment returned to me. It did kind of, I was concerned.
Yeah. Yeah, when the FBI comes and says, yeah, we'd like to have that stuff, but then let us know if someone comes to claim it.
Yeah. And, his word concern, I think he wanted to be straight up, I was scared. Concern, yeah. But, I mean, and the FBI was like, we're not sure if we're going to take it. I'd be like, you're taking it. What do you mean? I'm signing over everything. Do you take it and run? You're the FBI, get it out of here. How about this? If not, I'm going to throw it out on the street. and what do? Do you put a sign on the front door going, Hunter's laptop is not here anymore, see this? Because you don't want them to even come in and ask for it.
Well, and, he's out evidently talking to news people.
That's probably why he wants to go out, is let them know that he does not have it. Don't come to me, please.
Yeah, but
because
gosh,
I've seen lots of movies.
I mean, there's some incriminating stuff on that laptop, and if you were wanting to silence someone, he'd be one that you'd want to silence.
And if they didn't believe that the FBI came and took him, they might take him in the back room and he's got at least 10 fingers to start with. I don't know. You think about those things like.
See how comfy those cement shoes feel?
Yep. Yeah, I'd be a nervous wreck if I was that guy.
Yeah.
Thanks, Hunter.
Ethan, cut number 4. He's talking about the impeachment and the timing of it, because this is one of the reasons why Trump got impeached a second time.
Sure. Right.
So December 19th, to remind everybody, because impeachment on the issue of Ukraine took place with President Trump in January of 2020. And I guess my question is, what you saw in terms of documents, did that seem relevant to you to
Absolutely.
the debate that was explained?
Well, I had seen what would, again, I'm not an investigative journalist. It's not my day job when I was fixing Macs, but I saw some pretty compelling documents that definitely showed a pay-for-play scheme going on between Hunter Biden and his business dealings in Ukraine.
Joe Biden claimed that he didn't know anything about his son's business dealing. Will the documents that you saw contradict that, incontrovertibly contradict that?
Yeah, I think there was a lot of coordination. I saw a couple emails coming directly out of the White House to members of Burisma staff that, including the vice president's schedule, any discussions that were going on about Ukraine and policies with Ukraine were being sent directly to Vadim, who's the number 2 at Burisma.
Yeah.
I mean, this is hugely damning.
But yeah, sure. So, but you see the trend here, like Hillary, when she was running for presidency against Trump, Russian collusion, about what Trump is doing with Russia when it's Hillary, right? They're just saying whatever they are doing, they're going, hey, they're doing it. So they're almost shining the light on themselves at this point because this is their track record. The next time they point at anybody else and says they're doing blah, 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 no, it's them that's doing it because they literally went out and said and busted Trump's balls over Ukraine while this was literally happening.
Yeah.
These guys are too stupid. I'm not kidding you. Or how about this? They just think that they're too stupid.
They're just, but the thing is that they're so good about navigating all of this information, being able to have their own view and perspective to keep the voter from believing in any of this. This is hugely damning. This is the guy who was working on the laptop.
Right.
If anyone knows what's on that laptop, it's this guy.
Right.
And I haven't seen him anywhere.
That's not good.
I mean, this is the first time that I even knew that. I didn't know that the repairman had been on the news.
Oh, yeah. Well, boy, we should look him up, see how he's doing.
Yeah, hopefully he's still around.
He is doing.
Ethan, we're gonna play cut 5 here. This is where, of course, you can see how he's feeling about all of this stuff.
Right.
Because you can tell he's already kind of nervous.
Well, that's the other thing is if people
could
would have been able to see this, not just from Fox but everywhere, would be this guy's his reactions are legitimate. I mean, he's concerned about his life and the going-ons in our country because of this hiccup he was forced to see.
Yeah, Ethan, cut number 5.
You've been put in a horrible position, I argue unfairly so, and you just saw something, you said something. We ask people all the time, see something, say something, and you did, and it should not have happened to you this way. I hope, is your business doing better now? Are you getting harassed less? Are you able to keep the doors open?
Well, I'm getting harassed a lot less since I had to disconnect the phone and the email server. The business has been closed since November 2nd. For my safety, I had to get out of town about that time. I just didn't know. The hostility in my area was getting to the point where I didn't want to incite any anger. So I thought it was best that I just close the business and then get out of town.
And I bet you the hostility is from regular people. Not from the FBI or, any Ukrainian thugs or whatever, mafia or whatever. I don't even know what they call them. But, and that's what they're good at. They're using us as the tools.
I think you're right, though, because I think it is, if you look at social media, if you look at any of the harassing of anyone who comes out against the folks on the left, I mean, they can't avoid it. I mean, restaurants, they're getting harassed.
But he didn't say he's getting harassed less. He's getting harassed. He's just unplugged his stuff so he doesn't have to see it.
He ended his business. He turned everything off. It's really,
It's a tragedy.
Now, with all this information, there was a presidential debate. And just as a side note, I actually went back and watched quite a bit. I put the speed on like double speed so I could hear him get through more content. And they were talking about this stuff back then. At least Trump was talking about this stuff, and Biden was basically denying it. So this was from the last debate, and Joe Biden is basically defending his narrative about Trump and the Russia collusion, even though he knows what's going on. Ethan, cut number 7.
Character of the country is on the ballot. Our character is on the ballot. Look at us closely.
Let me ask some follow-up. Please respond, and then we're going to have follow-up
questions. If this stuff is true about Russia, Ukraine, China, other countries, Iraq, if this is true, then he's a corrupt politician.
Right.
So don't give me the stuff about how you're this innocent baby. Joe, they're calling you a corrupt politician.
Nobody.
President Trump, I want to stay on the issue of race. We're talking about the issue.
Laptop from hell.
President Trump, we're talking about race right now, and I do want to stay on the issue of race. President Trump,
and I have to respond to that.
Please.
Because look,
please.
there are 50 former national intelligence folks who said that what he's accusing me of is a Russian plant. They have said that this has all the 5 former heads of the CIA, both parties, say what he's saying is a bunch of garbage. Nobody believes it except his and his good friend Rudy Giuliani.
You mean the laptop is now another Russia hoax?
That's exactly what.
Is this where you're
exactly
going?
what?
Yeah, go with that. Oh,
okay. So
and how we lost is unbelievable.
The whole thing
makes me so angry.
It does make me angry too. But at the time, I didn't know what was really true either. But looking back, we can see now so much of this stuff was true, and they were hiding it. Now he's talking about this statement from 50 former intelligence officers.
Yeah,
they got together and they wrote this thing, and then they signed their names to it. I wanted to read you a little important spot here because Biden is saying that this is so important because all of these intelligence people are claiming that this has got the earmarks of a Russia, conspiracy or whatever. Well, here's one of the parts inside of that letter. It says, "We want to emphasize that we do not know if the emails provided to the New York Post by President Trump's personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani, are genuine or not, and that we do not have evidence of Russia involvement. Just that our experience makes us deeply suspicious that the Russia government played a significant role in this case." Isn't that something? Of course, no one's go back to read this letter.
Nope.
But as long as the headline...
Yeah, that's right. They're just headlines. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you'll see the headlines, and underneath it will be just a bunch of crap that doesn't even say what the headline is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they know there are that obviously the majority of America are just... I don't know. They're just mindless, absorbing anything. I don't even get it. I can't even put my finger on it.
People are not going down and reading the article. That's what you can just simply say, well, there's 50, intelligence officers that said that this is BS. But then if you read it, that's not exactly what is being said.
Because there's different people out there. When we hear something like that, I'll just say there's some people in the country or world that will hear something like that and go, whoa, what? And it intrigues them to go look into it. Mm-hmm. The other part will go, whoa. Mm-hmm. And that's fact. And they take it.
Yeah.
From them, from both sides. They should question Trump. They should have questioned Trump's statements. And then if they would have questioned it, they would have went, oh, damn. Mm-hmm. And question his rebuttal. I mean, it's so pathetic. It seems like it's child's play, but to find the truth.
So
nobody wants to.
Even today, that argument that there are 50 intelligence officers that signed and said that this was a Russia hoax.
Sure.
That's still out there right now as the is the reason to basically justify that none of this stuff is true.
Right. I know. It doesn't matter what's been proven or not. Ooh.
Oh, Ethan's bringing up pictures of Hunter and his hooker.
Oh,
Ethan.
Let's move along.
You want to talk about?
Maybe I could get a chuckle because it makes me so angry. Because I think, especially, I do believe strongly that all of us in America, and I mean all of us, are better than accepting anything that our government is telling us. I mean, from face value, we should all be. I know we're all better than that. We should question both sides all the time. And guess what? They're not all lying. They're not all wrong. But we should be able to make it up for ourselves. Not see Hunter Biden naked.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, please, Ethan. Oh. As he's scrolling through, we're looking at different shots. It's just, it's very distracting. It's hard to focus on something when he and his hooker are doing blow off the nightstand. Ethan, why don't you cue up that?
Yeah, why not?
Cue up that interview with Hunter talking about his
crack habits, crack addictions,
smoking,
the low times,
looking for anything white, I guess.
Mornings. I shouldn't even say some mornings because you slept for like 15 minutes at a time.
Yeah.
And be looking for crack and just smoke whatever was there.
Yeah. I spent more time on my hands and knees picking through rugs, smoking anything that even remotely resembled crack cocaine. I probably smoked more Parmesan cheese than anyone that you know, I'm sure, Tracy.
All right.
She had to laugh. She tried to hold back, let him finish that statement. Oh, my gosh.
Now, he's going through all these different interviews with these different news organizations and, these heartfelt stories about him, recovering from being an addict. And
this guy makes a lot of money. How is he out of crack? Doesn't he have somebody, lots of people to come out and help him out?
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe he's in that bad of a way.
Yeah.
I'm shocked he's just not found out on the street, just dancing, and yelling at the wall or a telephone pole. Crack will get you doing some weird stuff.
Yeah, I guess it's not as bad as meth, though, is it? I don't know. I mean, Portland has a meth problem for sure, especially in its homeless population, and they are going crazy.
Crack's pretty bad,
is it?
He just said he's trying to smoke Parmesan cheese. And he probably has enough money to buy whatever. He's probably too screwed up to go, oh, wait a minute. I can actually just go get more crack instead of on his hands and knees all the time.
That's really funny. Yeah, that's a good point, Dave. That's a good point.
I have not been there. I swear it.
So the part where things kind of get confusing for me about this whole story is the business dealings.
Oh.
Hunter and I guess his uncle, I can't remember his name. Do you remember his name?
I don't.
I think when Tony Bobulinski starts talking about him, bring up his Hunter's uncle.
His name.
But the business dealings is confusing to me because there's just so many different little pieces, and there's we're talking about foreign companies, and their names are hard to pronounce and hard to remember. And so there's just a lot of weird stuff, in my opinion, to follow.
And there's a lot of trails coming back from a lot of people at the same time too.
Yeah. Well, so one of the claims here is that Joe Biden and Hunter Biden and Hunter's uncle were all kind of like influence peddling almost. They're trying to get these business deals because Joe Biden is the vice president at the time, and by arranging these meetings, there's some influence there.
It's like the Bidens on the side of being a vice president of America.
Mm-hmm.
They created their own mob.
Yeah,
and they want to go shake down all these companies in other countries to get money from them to support their second business.
Well, they're making a lot of money. That second business is pretty successful.
It sure was.
So I want to read just a little something
Or
from the New York Post, and this is about Hunter Biden having, his shady business partners, or I don't know if they'd be partners, but these shady business people arranging to meet his father.
Right. The big guy.
The big guy, yeah. Joe Biden met with Ukrainian, Russian, and Kazakhstani business associates of his sons at dinner in Washington, D.C. while he was vice president, according to Hunter Biden's abandoned laptop. Yep. The dinner on April 16, 2015 was held in the private garden room at the Cafe Milano, a Georgetown institution whose catchphrase is, who cares about that part? But he says, there's a letter from Przersky. Oh, gosh.
I'll go with it.
Yeah. An executive from the Ukraine energy company, Burisma. Okay. He says, Dear Hunter, thank you for inviting me to D.C. and giving me an opportunity to meet your father and spend some time together.
No, that didn't happen, though.
Yeah.
They said it. I heard it. No, I don't believe that.
Yeah.
Biden said it didn't happen. It didn't happen.
Yeah, he had no idea about his business dealings, but yet got to meet this guy from Burisma.
Wonder how much that cost.
And what's interesting about Burisma is this is an energy company in Ukraine that was being investigated for corruption.
Mm-hmm.
And Hunter Biden is acting as a board member at that time.
Right.
Making how much? Do you remember?
Oh my gosh. It was, no, I used to talk about
$83,000 a month.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
And he can't find crack.
Yeah.
Come on.
Come on.
How much crack is he smoking?
This may have been before the Parmesan cheese smoking incident.
Must have been the cocaine days.
So what's interesting, though, is that of course, these business dealings are happening. There's evidence now coming out because, it's on the laptop. There's this guy named Tony Bobulinski. He came out and did a presser.
Yep.
To kind of clear his name. Because,
his name, yeah.
Yeah.
Not the Bidens.
Because
name.
he was upset that the Bidens were making him look like he was part of this Russia disinformation.
Well, they're like
campaign.
saying, well, talk to him. He's on the up and up. They were trying to make it sound like that he'll vouch for them too. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I have integrity-ish.
Well, so this Tony Bobulinski, he's basically he's gonna help run this holding company. They called it Sinohawk, and it was part of this Chinese I don't know, agreement with one of the businesses over there. But he came out and he just said, you know what, I'm tired of you guys making me look bad because my name is important and you guys are trashing it. Ethan,
Right.
Cut number 9.
And I just want to affirm for our audience, I don't think you had any desire to do this interview.
Absolutely no desire.
Is because nobody else told your story. So were you surprised, given the trove of documents you have, given the credibility that I think is apparent that you have, that no other news organization took the time to unpack this story?
Surprised is probably an understatement of the year. Shocked, because it would be different if this was my word against Jim Biden, Hunter Biden, and Joe Biden.
Right.
That would be a very slippery slope. Not something I would take the personal and family risk on it. But I've provided more documents and facts that validate times, meetings, who participated. That email to me on May 13th was generated by somebody else sent to me. It wasn't me generating. These text messages that I've provided are Hunter Biden in the first person, Jim Biden in the first person, James Gilliar in the first person, Rob Walker in the first person. It's not me generating the text messages. It's them speaking. So you can interview them. The FBI can interview them. Our government can interview them. But I was shocked that not only the media is not only discussing this, they're going to the other extreme. They're dismissing it as Russian disinformation.
Yeah.
And how about this? Just ask yourselves, why would they do that? Because this is true.
Mm-hmm.
Why? And that's everybody's answer. That should be enough. Even if you don't have a perfect answer, that's enough to go, we need these people the heck out of our government.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody should feel, hurt in their head about about that. Everybody should be freaking pissed. Everybody that voted for him should be pissed that they've been lied to and blindsided by, even though I think that a lot of that's, self-inflicted, but,
Yeah, but a lot of people don't care about this stuff because they won the election.
Right. No, that's my point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they still don't care. Although,
like
Biden's approval ratings are pretty low from his performance so far, but all this other corruption stuff is still, it's important. And especially, this does play into the character of the Bidens.
If there was another, I'll go with Trump. I don't care who it is. If there was some corruption, man, I want his feet held to the fire. It's my country. Stop it,
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, but there was just so many other things that came out of this, like the impeachment two times of a former president,
and that was just the biggest way that they could say, look over here, not over here.
Yeah, exactly right.
And put all of their efforts and all of the America's view on something that's false.
Mm-hmm.
So not only that they could hide this, but they could even continue to keep it going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Hunter Biden, he was paid $3 million for being on the board of Burisma.
Oh, man.
$3 million, that's pretty good board position.
Yeah, I'd like to work there a year.
Mm-hmm. Let's see here.
I wonder if he had to pay taxes.
I have, I think that actually is a good point. I have this little clip I thought was very interesting because I heard that it existed, but it took me a little while to find it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is Joe Biden bragging about him getting the prosecutor who was investigating the corruption at Burisma in Ukraine, where Hunter Biden, of course, is the board member. Biden got that guy fired.
That's right.
And how did he get him fired? He got him fired because the U.S. at the time was backing loans with Ukraine, and Biden basically said, hey, if you don't fire this guy, we're not going to provide you with these funds.
Yeah, and it's funny how a lot of people don't believe that had happened or that he is corrupt.
This one thing is this is criminal.
Right.
And he was the sitting vice president at the time.
They were trying to impeach Trump for the same thing.
Exactly. Ethan, go ahead and play it.
I remember going over convincing our team, or others too, convincing us that we should be providing for loan guarantees. And I went over for, I guess, the 12th, 13th time to Kyiv, and I was supposed to announce that there was another $1 billion loan guarantee. And I had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko and from Yatsenyuk that they would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't. So they said they were walking out to press conference. I said, no, I'm not going to, we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting the $1 billion. I said, you're not getting the $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Oh, son of a bitch. Got fired. And they put in place someone who was solid.
That doesn't sound like a freaking well-written mob movie, Yeah, we got him fired, and don't worry, we got him. And he uses the word solid. That means like somebody that's willing to play. Come on.
This huge red flags
and
here.
They all laugh. Everybody in the room are the people that should leave, go out and look up and start telling people this stuff. But no, they laugh. They think it's well,
because they didn't know at the time. They didn't know at the time that Hunter Biden's laptop contained all of this information, and I don't think they knew at the time that Hunter Biden was on the board at Burisma, who was being investigated at the time by this prosecutor.
But even without that, that is strong-arming them. It's pay for play. And, we didn't know what he was trying to protect, if you will. But, and I would love, in fact, let me ask you, did you hear at all? Because I haven't heard anything. I would love to hear what the president would have said. What Obama would have said it. Did Obama hearing that, he's like, you did what? Or did he say, dude, don't talk about that stuff, man? Because if Obama did know about it, it is a huge situation.
Oh, sure.
This is just one of the feelers that are out there. And if he didn't know about it, I can't believe that he didn't get his ass handed to him.
This again goes back to, is it important anymore because those folks are out of office? Biden's now in office as the president, so I think that's important. Obama no longer in office, so these folks that might be looking into it and questioning it, maybe they don't feel like it's really that important anymore because he's no longer in office. One of the other things that is, I think, terribly important, and that is this Tony Bobulinski guy.
Right.
Because he has tons of text messages, emails, and other things that does show that there was this pay for play, and then the laptop repair guy sees it on Hunter's laptop. So we've got confirmation in all these different areas. And of course, Miranda Devine, who writes the book about this laptop, is telling a major story about it and then publishing it in the New York Post. There's a ton of evidence that there's this stuff going on.
And it goes nowhere.
Even though there's an investigation, in air quotes, going on right now, I'm not sure that it's really... Well, it certainly isn't in the headlines.
Well, it's not an investigation. Like if they were to investigate me for something stupid, you know, I mean, they would beat me up. What are they doing? They're just holding on to it until time passes.
Yeah.
That's how I feel anyways. I don't know what they're doing, to be honest with you, but I feel that when they say they're going to investigate, they're going to hold on to it and say they're investigating it until the presidency either is over and they can move on. Because I'll tell you what, only time we're going to really find out stuff is after Biden's done. I mean, that's how it always works. I mean, after Trump was gone, I mean, we already knew, and not we all. So many of us already knew that the Russian collusion thing was a Hillary-based thing for a long time. But only did they really, after his presidency was over, did they go, yep, for sure. You know, they didn't come out and actually confirm all these things until afterwards.
Well, the Steele dossier was one of those big ones, and it's totally debunked today.
Yep,
we know.
Yep, we do.
If
you care,
I want to talk a little bit about this other piece, which is Hunter Biden and his involvement in China, because on this laptop, there's all these other business dealings, and one of them is involved with China.
And
go ahead.
Another country that Trump was trying to warn us about. Man, it's crazy.
Well, so in the Laptop from Hell book, Miranda Devine, she talks about a 3-carat diamond that was given to Hunter by the Chinese energy company.
I hope it was flawless. It's not very big.
Yeah, well, and the thing is that, again, President Biden is talking about, he's basically denying that he knew anything about any of this stuff. And of course, Hunter Biden is in the thick of it. There's this Chinese conglomerate. It's CEFC. I don't know what the actual name is other than it. That's what they say it is CEFC.
I haven't heard it either.
But it's basically it's one of the largest energy companies in the world, and they are involved with a lot of other energy companies. They're just like the head. And one of the emails that is on this laptop, it talks about this 3-carat diamond and an offer of $30 million.
I'll take the $30 million, that's for sure.
Now, there's, again, the question, does Biden know anything about it? Well, it turns out Biden has had sort of this relationship with Xi Jinping over in China for a while. And Ethan, this is a little bit of a montage that, it kind of highlights his relationship with him.
Let's hear this.
I've spent more time with Xi Jinping, at least before we got out, than any world leader has. I've traveled 17,000 miles with him, the president of China. I probably spent more time with Xi Jinping, I'm told, than any world leader has, because I had 25 hours of private meetings with him when I was vice president, traveled 17,000 miles with him, and know him pretty well. I've spent more time with President Xi of China than any world leader has. For 24 hours of private meetings with him. I've spoken and spent more time with Xi Jinping than any other world leader has. I've had hours and hours and hours of meetings and personal conversations with Xi Jinping. I spent more time with him, I believe, than any other world leader has.
It sounds like they might have a relationship.
No, you can't listen to Biden. You have to listen to Biden.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are idiots.
You gotta believe he knew about all this stuff.
Yes.
I mean,
to be fair, at this point in time in his life, he's probably like, who? I don't remember any of that.
Yeah.
I mean, he's President Poopy Pants, so he may not know or remember legally at this moment. We got a crackhead and a guy that's can't remember anything because he's senile. So man, we're gonna have to all feel bad for him now.
Let's take a quick break. I want to talk about Hunter's artistic endeavors when we get back.
I know when you clean up, everything just turns into flowers and rainbows.
It is. Dave and I appreciate you listening to the show. Please take a moment and write a review on Apple Podcast or Podchaser.com. And since Spotify doesn't currently have reviews, simply telling your friends about the show would be great too. Also, you can always reach out to us at our website, nevertooserious.com, or via our socials at the NTS Podcast. And seriously, from the bottom of our hearts, thanks again for listening to the show. All right, we are back. So just kind of browsing through some of the paintings that Hunter Biden has done. They're not that bad. I mean, it's kind of an abstract sort of art form.
So let me ask you: does anybody have video of him actually painting these?
I think there are some pictures of him doing some interesting paintings.
I'm just saying, like, he's not like having people paint these for him so he can put his name on it and say, hey, he's special.
I don't think so.
All right. Well, because I only say that because it's hard for me to say, hey, I actually like some of those.
Yeah, no, I mean, in general, I kind of like interesting art anyway.
Well, when you get that crack out of your veins, you could do beautiful things.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess he was doing beautiful things with the crack in his veins too. He just had to pay for them.
Well, the part that gets me is he's a relatively new artist, and his paintings are going for between $75,000 and $500,000. That's surprising, huh? New artist making that kind of that kind of money.
It can't have anything to do with his name or money laundering, right?
Well, even the White House, it's so funny because they're starting to come out and talk about how the art industry is ripe with corruption because it's a good way to launder money.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
That was just an idea.
Here's a little article from the New York Post. It says, the Biden administration raised some eyebrows Monday after it described the art and antiquities market as a hotbed of shady financial dealings.
That's why they're in it.
Yeah. Weeks after his first son, Hunter Biden's work went on display in a Soho gallery.
It's like a fixed boxing match. Yeah,
it's funny. The warning from the White House was part of a strategy on countering corruption.
Is that right? Like I said, when they say they're countering corruption, no, they are corrupting.
They said the administration it describes it as a comprehensive roadmap for how the United States will amplify its efforts domestically and internationally with governmental and non-governmental partners to prevent, limit, and respond to corruption and related crimes.
But I also didn't think that Hunter was involved in anything political then. But his art is?
Well,
he's painting to fight the power?
This stuff is actually pretty new still. And to look at some of the sales of his artwork from anonymous buyers, you can make a whole bunch of money, and we don't know where that money is coming from. And is it really for the art?
And where is it really going?
There's a little article from Politico talking about Hunter Biden's artwork and these professional art people weighing in on its actual value. Because the New York City Gallery exhibit Hunter Biden's work this fall estimated his paintings are worth between $75,000 to $500,000. Okay, great. Despite the White House's attempt to protect against undue influence, they said the reason for the 5 to 6 figure estimates is clearly Hunter Biden's last name. Well, yeah, of course. Well,
that's the minimum of it.
As for the pricing range, this Jeffrey Young, he's an art critic. He says that the price range is extremely high, especially for someone the New York Times recently called an undiscovered artist. The 2019 article describes some 100 paintings Biden had created in his Hollywood Hills pool house turned art studio. Traditionally, young artists are a bargain, and if they begin to sustain a career, galleries raise the prices incrementally, as they should, Young said. Paintings are only as valuable as some customers will pay for them. Let's see. Ben Davis, a national art critic who has already written in length that Biden shouldn't be selling his work, said the prices are not common for any new artist. Okay, for an emerging artist doing his first show, this would put Hunter in the top tier of what was thinkable.
Well, of course.
Yeah, these prices are for an already successful artists.
They are Biden's, of course. You know, they have to be, and he's just a crackhead.
I mean, ultimately, I guess people will pay whatever they find something is valuable, but
let's take it down a minute. So, if it was $5,000 to $10,000 per painting, that's ginormous.
Yeah,
it's huge, and these, come on, you know, this whole thing was, you know, could be called red flags in our whole show, because this is another red flag. Hello, who's paying? Yeah. How else are we going? Well, because Hunter screwed it up. We still got to get our money. How are we going to get our money? Well, listen, we have these art pieces for sale. You buy these, you know, in between $75,000 a month. Maybe it's $85,000 a month. How much was he making over at Burisma? It's just too much to believe. I mean, I know it's actually happening. I believe it's happening, but it's not. It's not the art that's being sold.
It just doesn't.
I don't know.
Well, I would agree with you. I mean, the art's, it's not bad, but it's certainly not worth the price that you're seeing here. $75,000 to $500,000. That's weird.
I've seen and I'm not saying he's the best in the world, but there was a Thomas Kincaid painting, and it was, I think it was like 5 feet across, and it's a painting, not a print, and so it was huge, and it was like, I guess to be fair, this is like 15 years ago. But it was like $3,700. It was like under $4,000, and I wanted it so bad, but I couldn't. I mean, because it was just gorgeous.
Yeah. Well, I think I want to say, and it may not have been a Van Gogh, but I should have grabbed the article. But there was a lost painting that was found recently, and from, I think it was Van Gogh or some other very famous artist, and I believe that it auctioned for just over $100,000.
Is that right?
And we're talking about a lost painting from a famous artist. That should have scored
Van
much
Gogh
higher.
wasn't an ex-crack addict, so he doesn't have a story like that. You know, he was, Hunter Biden took himself out of the gutter.
Well, I think that there's going to be more stuff coming up. This is still, I mean, this story is just, you know, gradually pokes its head out. And I think that this is I think it's going to grow. I agree.
You know what? I think it's going to grow to? Hunter Biden for for the next president. From crackhead to painter to president of the United States. Everybody loves a Biden, apparently. 70 million people.
Well, I'm surprised with all of the corruption. I mean, the stuff here is true. There's too much evidence of it being true. There's too much documentation of it being true. And by the way, this Tony Bobolinsky guy is a Democrat donor.
Right.
So, you know, and he's not making money on any of this.
Nope.
He just wants to clear his name. There is so much going on here that should be red flags to everyone. But the left-leaning media has done a really good job of suppressing it or just countering it with some other flashy object.
Sure, yeah, exactly. But if you took all the other players out and just listened to Biden himself, I don't have anything to do with China. But yes, you do. You said so 100 times. You know, everything he says is contradicts himself all the time. You know, if you just listen to him, you know, I didn't do any pay for play. What do you mean? You just did. And you're bragging about it because you're a tough guy. You'll take him out back behind the shed kind of guy. Oh my gosh. I think we need to start seeing that there isn't a two justice system in this, in this country.
Yeah, I agree.
People need to start getting punished for what they're doing, not punishing people for just talking about what bad people are doing. You know, good people are getting it all the time.
Yeah, equal justice under the law, no matter who you are.
Yep. I agree.
All right. Thanks again for watching the show. If you're catching us on YouTube, give us a thumbs up, subscribe. We would really appreciate that. Listening to us on the podcast, you can find us pretty much anywhere.
Yeah.
Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podchaser. Write us a review. Give us 5 stars. We'd appreciate that as well.
Yep.
You can find more information on our website.
NeverTooSerious.com.
And, of course, you can send us an email.
At mailbag@nevertooserious.com.
Yep. So until we see you next time, take care.
And be safe. And smoke that crack.
Or Parmesan cheese.
Yeah.